Completing a snag list when you take occupation of a unit in a new development is very important to ensure you get what you've paid for. You also want to avoid any disputes between you and the developer down the line. Now, this is also a document that you rather want to leave to the professionals to complete. Home Inspector Eric Bell explains. Eric, lovely to have you back. Welcome back on All About Property.
Cornelius, it's good to be back again. Thanks for having me.
Now, buying a property directly from a developer, you have to provide that developer with a snag list. But let's just first understand what exactly is a snag list.
A snag list is a document that's raised on completion or coming up to close completion of the building. And that has to be provided by the owner, or the new owner of the property. What they often fail to realize is that it's a very important document, and that they, as lay people, will not know the ramifications, and also they will see cosmetic problems, and they'll say a little scratch on the wall, or there's a dent in the ceiling, or whatever. That's not what a snag list is about. A snag list is important in as much as the whole building needs to be checked thoroughly by a professional.
Now, Eric, can you just give us an idea of some of the key items that would appear on a snag list?
Okay, the roof is a very important one. We would have to check fully on the roof to make sure it's been installed properly. Also of importance are windows and doors, because today a lot of the windows manufactured are not to the best standards, so we would check that to make sure that they are suitable. Front doors, for example, often we find front doors look like they're solid doors, but they're hollow. That means that you have no security. The superstructure, which are the walls and the allied parts of the floor slab and whatever, we check that for cracks and whatever. And another big problem is damp. You get rising damp. That can be from the fact that they didn't put a damp course in at slab level, or alternatively the underlay on the roof is pulled back and there's water getting into the wall cavity, so you get damp problems. And damp problems can be a huge problem to fix.
Now, Eric, when you buy a property directly from a developer, there are certain conditions in the contract under which you have to submit your snag list. Talk to me about some of these conditions that purchasers have to look out for.
The snag list is normally provided before occupation takes place. And the builder normally gives you 30 days or sometimes 3 months to actually provide the snag list once you've actually moved into the property.
So that's 3 months from date of occupation?
From date of occupation. But the snag list that you give him to start the ball rolling needs to be done by a professional person, as I said already. And that way that you're assured that you will cover all the items.
Would a snag list hold? Let's say, for instance, there's a litigation going on with that developer. Can I bring out the snag list and say, but look, Mr. Developer, I mentioned to you up front that this is wrong and that was wrong?
Absolutely. The fact that it was compiled by a professional would be that much better, because you can use that to say, look, we already found these problems wrong when we were moving into the house, and these problems are still existing. That way the developers are either forced to rectify it, which is the first prize, because you don't want to have to go to litigation if you can afford it, because it's expensive. And most people, when they've moved into a house, don't have a huge amount of money spare to go and litigate. So the importance of having the snag list done properly and concisely is that there is no room to maneuver by the developer or by the builder.
Eric, now a lot of homeowners would complete their own snag list and give that to the developer. But that's not the ideal. You want to get the services of a home inspection company in. Chat me more about that.
We find that with modern houses today, new houses, a lot of these houses are built minimalistically when it comes to roofing materials, etc. And we find that geysers, which is very important, geysers are placed onto the cross pieces on we call them tie beams and roof trusses. And you find that you're hanging a geyser on two roof trusses with a few planks on it. And we find that often that the structure is not actually, was never ever designed to carry that weight. The roof truss company didn't know the geyser was going to be put onto those roof trusses. And then we find that sometimes when they put in downlighters in the ceiling, they cut into the ceiling and cut through those tie beams where the geyser is. And I've seen it on a number of occasions where it's a potential disaster waiting to happen because the geyser is sitting there with on the tie beam where there's been notches cut out of it to house the downlighters. And it sounds ridiculous, but it actually is factual.
Now, at what point would you get the home inspector out to do the snag list for you?
Ideally, should contact the inspector a few weeks before completion. What we often do on projects is to do what's called quality control inspections, so that we do inspections during the build process. That way we do independent checks without the builder knowing we're coming, and we just check to make sure that the bricks are being built properly, that the mortar's of good quality, the plastering's being done correctly. Once the house is nearing completion, we would then come in and do the snag list. Now the snag list should be done when the builder says that he's actually happy with the structure and he's happy. But it may still be in the final stages of painting. But that would be the ideal time to do the snag list.
Any last piece of advice that you have for people around the snag list?
The importance of a snag list is to treat it as an important document. It's not something that you do just to get your house finished, etc. Treat it as an important function because this can cost you a huge amount of money if you don't. If you try to do it yourself and you find that you've missed a whole lot of things, which I'm sure you will, the average person will, this safeguards you, and what will cost you maybe a couple of $1,000 to have done professionally could end up costing you hundreds of thousands of rand if you don't have it inspected by a professional.
Well, Eric, thank you very much. Always lovely chatting to you.
It's been great. Thanks very much for inviting me.